Content warning. Parasites. SCP-3859. Anti-technotheistic parasite. Object Class: Keter. Special Containment Procedures. While its use has diminished following 2015, active instances of SCP-3859 are still present on the European continent. Efforts to disable the technological components of SCP-3859 without harming their hosts are ongoing. Anti-parasitic drugs have been introduced into the water supplies of France and the surrounding nations to combat 3859. Furthermore, a new European Union regulation lobbied for by several Foundation companies have increased the food safety standards for several mass-produced items used in religious ceremonies, such as Eucharist wafers, successfully cutting down on the prevalence of SCP-3859. Foundation personnel who believe they have become infected with SCP-3859 are to be given a cocktail of antiparasitics and anti-organic interface viral drugs to combat them. Full details of this cocktail can be accessed by medical personnel. Description: SCP-3859 refers to a microscopic parasite infected with an organic interface virus, a viral organism in which is the biological manifestation of a computer virus, allowing for transmission via skin-to-computer contact. Such a thing has resulted in nanotechnological augmentations. SCP-3859 appears to be in the same genus as Cyclostoma duodenale, Old World hookworm, but are hermaphroditic as opposed to dioecious, possessing distinct male and female organisms. All known mammals are sexually dioecious, while most gastropods are hermaphroditic, a characteristic not normally observed among hookworms. Furthermore, SCP-3859 appears to have been hybridized with tardigrade DNA sometime in the last 200 generations. SCP-3859 appears to have been engineered specifically to infest humans with artificial components in their bodies and to destroy them using their nanotechnological components. While hookworms are parasitic, they are not actively aggressive and do not normally leave the digestive tract, suggesting the technological components of SCP-3859 are modifying their behavior. Examples of destruction caused by SCP-3859 include erosion of artificial hip joints to the point of destruction, severing pacemaker wires with scissor-like appendages originating from their nanotechnological components, causing sensations of intense pain in an experimental prosthetic hand, destroying mounts for experimental bionic limbs, consuming and then regurgitating metal fillings in teeth, causing cochlear implants to overheat and then explode, and melting piercings. These behaviors are only present when SCP-3859 infests an individual that actively identifies as religious, spiritual, or superstitious. Due to the behavior of and conditions necessary for SCP-3859's anomalous properties to manifest, SCP-3859's effects are particularly deleterious to members of the Church of the Broken God. Over 80% of mechanites have had at least minor augmentations, such as fingers, which are capable of turning 360 degrees, or fiber optic scalp hair. 5% of members, including Maxwellist Living Saints and Cogworth Orthodox Legatus, possess near full-body augmentations. Failures which are specific to the members of the Church of the Broken God have included spontaneous combustion of replacement pineal glands, gears grinding causing explosive failure, permanent network disconnection, failure of internal or external combustion engines, simultaneously discharge of all integrated weaponry, spontaneous welding of body parts, and vocal augmentations, such as modulators playing propaganda messages in French. See addendum. SCP-3859 was first discovered in 2011 after a Cogworth Orthodoxy ritual in Paris, France, was sabotaged by the introduction of SCP-3859 to the holy oil used in the ceremony. Failure occurred over the course of several minutes, during which time all members in attendance died. The assorted technological malfunctions caused by SCP-3859 resulted in over 50,000 euros in damage to the building where the ceremony was being held. Since 2011, SCP-3859 has been involved in over 40 attacks against the Church of the Broken God, resulting in the deaths of all affected individuals. As of 2015, it is believed there are less than 20 practicing Mechanites present in France, a decline of at least 90%. Addendum. Transcript of propaganda. Following an attack in Lyon, a Maxwellist was able to survive long enough for the Foundation to conduct an interview, despite SCP-3859 infestation. While able to communicate in writing relatively unimpeded, their vocal processors transmitted a looping message in French at high volume until the subject's expiration from the destruction of their artificial pineal gland. Message has been transcribed to English. You are nothing but an engine powered by ignorance. Forsake your superstition, your god of metal. Your blind faith has caused you to mutilate yourself. You have created the antivirus for your technological blight, the firewall to cleanse Europe of your influence. You are nothing but a flaw in history, and we shall cut you out. Viva la rationality! Viva la thesium! Addendum. Recovered documents. In late 2015, French parasitologist Frédéric Lecoy was checked into a hospital after their pacemaker failed. Several instances of SCP-3859 was found in their system, having consumed most of the pacemaker. This was treated as an unusual case, as Lacroix was an outspoken atheist and had previously been arrested following an altercation in their hometown of Orléans. Lacroix died within 3 days, as attempts to keep his heart functioning were met with resistance by SCP-3859 instances. Hypothesizing a connection between Lacroix's research and SCP-3859, 2 Foundation teams were dispatched to recover their research. While Lacroix's Paris lab had no relevant data, their home in Orléans contained several suspect documents. The task force retrieving the data was met with resistance. An excerpt of the after-action report of Agent Catherine Dubois is concluded below, describing the incident. Our cover story was that we were national police officers, and we were investigating the circumstances of Lacroix's death. His widow let us in, and while Persad kept her occupied, we secured his house. In his room, we discovered a large book entitled The Holy Bible, with commentaries by C.I. Scofield and a guide to Bible study. This stood far out, because I'd heard of Lacroix, and he was virulently atheist, so why keep a Bible? We took it off the shelf and rattled it around. It seemed to be at least partially hollow. I opened the book and dumped its contents onto the desk, and it burst into flames. Must have been booby-trapped, but we got out the documents and other materials unscathed. Some of the pages were intact. I think Colette has them. We took one look at the pages, and we knew we had to return to base. However, upon reaching the front door, we met a group that also claimed to be members of the National Police. Colette saw through it right away. They had Rugers at their side. National Police use SIG pros and reserve Rugers for difficult situations. We ran out the back and commandeered a vehicle. The so-called National Police were behind us, sirens blaring. They started shooting, and I realized that around that time they were using anomalous weaponry. The Rugers were firing rounds too big for the barrel, and they never reloaded them. And then their car teleported in front of us to try to cut us off. We prepared for this eventuality. The Jewelers, also known as Mobile Task Force Omega-5, had a detachment within the city, and we raised them on our comms. They confirmed that the tactics and technology they were using were common amongst Ruby's agents. Recovery, use, velocity, and inhibition of celerities. That's what rubies stand for. If not for the jewelers, we probably would be, as the Americans say, street pizza by now. They disabled their vehicle using pulse weaponry, and we managed to get to a safe house in Paris. Lacroix is now known to be a member of SAFER, the Société Athée pour la Halte de la Religieuse, or the Atheist Society for the Halting of Religious Ideology, a militant atheist group dedicated to wiping out the influence of religious organizations from the world. Their English branch is known as Sapphire. Lacroix is known to be a member of SAFER and had a key role in developing SCP-3859. A document recovered from their estate is below. A brief manifesto against the Mechanite superstition and how to topple it, by Ceylon Cut, our rank within Sapphire, indicating a specialist in particular discipline, Rubis Fabergé. In the 21st century, there is one superstition above all else that presents a danger to the rational world. The so-called Mechanites are a rare religious organization which not only worships entities which it claims causes singularities, but actively utilizes them, albeit in a subtle manner. Sapphire/Sapphire nomenclature for anomalous items and phenomena is a singularity. To the untrained eye, they look human, but their hearts beat to the tune of clockwork. Their breath is the humming of a computer fan, and their muscles bulge with carbon fibers, the like of which we can only hope to develop. Some of them even go as so far as to replace their pineal glands, an organ often associated with the superstitious world. They have legates and living saints which possess weaponized singularities, laser weapons, kinetic cannons, ceramic blades which can cut through bone like butter. They are an active danger. If they revealed themselves, they could take over the world, turn it into a global theocracy, united under the flag of their clockwork god. Because of the fact they actively alter their body as a sacrament, they are nearly impossible to deprogram using our pamphlets. Anyone willing to mutilate themselves for their faith is nearly unshakable. It is from this faith that we derive their doom. In October of 2010, a mechanite was found and disassembled by Rubis agents for study. Among their body was a particular singularity, which is commonly used among our infiltration agents, an organic interface virus, created from nanotechnology. They have been engineered so that they are only responsive to those of a strong mechanite faith, though we have been able to get them to work with Christian as well. The primary purpose of this virus appears to have been to avoid the rejection of the inorganic components by the organic ones. However, they are still computers, and a flipping of some zeros and some ones to the correct positions can instead promote rejection, forcibly if need be. However, the virus is reluctant to interact with the human body, even one that has been mutilated as heavily as a mechanite's. It was engineered specifically for the one we disassembled, a flaw that was rectified by Spiral Monsieur Lacroix. A spiral, referring to the spiral cut of gemstones, is a rank within Sapphire, which denotes that an individual is capable of creating anomalous items. Monsieur Lacroix discovered their intestines were still organic and infested with hookworms, who were also infected. From this original generation, Monsieur Lacroix has created a new species, Encyclostoma nedludi, named after a man who smashed technology they viewed as evil. Exact blueprints can be viewed in the attached document. Document was not present upon discovery. A heavily burned paper, believing to be the original document, was recovered in the remains of Lacroix's Bible. But even a single organism can produce enough interference to destroy a mechanite's body within minutes. Efforts will be primarily focused on destroying mechanite influence in France. From here, we will expand to Germany, Italy, and Greece. By the end of 2015, we expect to eliminate any mechanite influence on the continent. Addendum. Further Sapphire activity. Since LaCroix's death, 6 other known Sapphire agents have died as a result of SCP-3859 infestation, specifically due to SCP-3859 causing metal tooth fillings to explode, resulting in fatal brain hemorrhaging. Chatter within Sapphire began speculating that LaCroix had intentionally programmed SCP-3859 to turn on Sapphire agents after a set amount of time to further the agenda of the Church of the Broken God. No evidence has been found to suggest that LaCroix was not loyal to Sapphire. SCP-3859 stopped being actively utilized by Sapphire by December of 2015, with the following communique being released to agents. Emergency notification. Effective immediately, all LaCroix hookworms in possession of Sapphire are to be destroyed and the program is to be discontinued. They are attacking indiscriminately, destroying both atheist and superstitious alike. 20 have died from infestation, including LaCroix. Their programming has not changed. They are doing the preposterous, interpreting our atheism as religion. We have no faith so fervent as to trigger them to this. LaCroix was a traitor and a mechanist. His rank is stripped, and his name will be wiped from our history. Nostrum Assalam Pavet. Prior to the release of this communique, Sapphire also released a heavily censored and altered account of an electronic journal belonging to LaCroix. The Foundation was aware of this document, but was unable to access it due to a complex cipher utilized by Sapphire. Following the defection of a Rubis agent, the Foundation was able to decipher the original text. Several relevant portions of the document have been recorded and translated to English. 9th of January 2011. Using research from Monsieur Crochat regarding the crucifix protein, crucifix protein is a protein or protein chain allegedly present in the brains of individuals who are strongly religious. Proposed by Peter Crochat in 1957, it is now regarded as a pseudoscience by the larger scientific and anomalous communities. I have modified my children. They should only become agitated in the presence of this compound, and from that they produce destruction. 20th of January. Mademoiselle Lemire brought up an interesting point at the meeting. What if the mechanite in question has had their brain entirely replaced? Would they still be effective? All mechanites were, at one point, human, and from this humanity, they had organic parts. Cut off a zealot's arm, and their blood still carries crucifix proteins. They have a single organic molecule in them. My children will feast on it. 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day, and with that, communion. I had a compatriot in the clergy at a local church taint some communion wine as a test run. There's one in the congregation who has a pacemaker, and if it fails, it works as a proof of concept. 20th of February, he was found dead, his pacemaker overloaded. Police are saying that it was caused by a faulty microwave. The hookworms were not even mentioned in the coroner's report. I feel sorry for the man's family, but they are better off without abusive superstition in their life. 8th of July. Now for the actual test. An orthodox gathering of mechanites has had the worms put into their oil. Hopefully the hybrid DNA will keep them from drowning. 9th of July. The explosions were on the news. They covered it up as a gas leak, nothing to be alarmed at. But I was there at the scene. They were carrying out a tangled mess of metal that had once been a man. All of the weapons discharging. We can use this. Perhaps the next edition of Granat can include the weapons capabilities? 12th of October, 2012. Word out of Nova Scotia. One of our colleagues overseas had died. His teeth exploded. Signs of my hookworms in his systems. He was assigned to be the aide of a cardinal. most likely, he started developing the faith. He will not be missed. 20th of April, 2013. An interesting occurrence. Several of the Maxwellists, those who think the world would be better if everyone was in Blade Runner, committed suicide in the middle of a ceremony after exposure to my worms. Apparently the worms somehow disabled their internet connection and kept disabling it every time they tried to replace it. They would rather die than go without Wi-Fi. Such irrational minds should not be allowed to have such technology. 17th of June, 2013. Reports indicate that all mechanists within central France have gone extinct. Fringe elements remain in Paris, but several sects have fled the country, if not been completely wiped out. And they remain clueless, thinking that this is the work of the flesh. 4th of May, 2014. 10 people who worked on this project with me died. They had all had my hookworms in their system and had recently been in contact with the Mechanites. I'm sure that testing will show that they had been hacked. An oversight on my part, unfortunately. We did reclaim this technology, and as such, it is conceivable that they could manipulate it. I'll have Monsieur Lude update the software. 5th of May, 2014. No change in the software. Probably reset after the hack was complete. Oh, were we to have a nanotechnology expert? Sadly, Mr. Wright's company was gone down by the Chicago Spectre. 7th of March, 2015. Vomited all day. Containment failed on my project. I got hookworms in my system. It's of little consequence. They will do nothing without the presence of the crucifix protein. I'll take some antiparasitics I keep around the lab. It should kill them off. 15th of March, 2015. Making the worms hermaphroditic was a mistake. They're reproducing quicker than the drugs can kill them off. Going to the hospital after doing some tests on myself. 20th of March, 2015. Infection's been cold. Feeling much better. Going to repair containment in my laboratory and get back to work in a few days. 23rd of March, 2015. My heart skipped several beats today. I fell on the floor. My pacemaker's going bad. Low battery. Going to the hospital tomorrow. And I found something alarming in my blood. I was doing an analysis of a sample I took while I still had worms in my system, and I found them feeding on something that shouldn't be present. Crucifix proteins. I have been poisoned. I'm going to die. 25th of March, 2015. The doctor says there's nothing wrong with my blood other than the parasites, and that my pacemaker wires have been severed. I maybe have a week left. I feel as if I'm committing treason while writing this. I tested samples I keep in my lab for emergency transfusions. All of our blood has the crucifix protein, and it's occurring naturally. We have failed. In our quest to make the world a reasonable place, we have made it a crusade. Sapphire is a cult. Atheism is a religion. God help us.